Welcome back everybody to this new episode in my little conversation series. Already a while ago, in the middle of an early heat wave in the summer of 2025, I had the big honor and huge pleasure to chat with Michael Stearns and Robert Rich, who had spent a week in Robert's state-of-the-art studio in California to work on their first album together. I guess that most people who are going to watch this video don't need an introduction to these two masters of immersive deep listening music, but here's still a brief one, just in case.
Michael Stearns is an acclaimed American ambient and space music composer, sound designer, and film score producer. He began his musical journey in the 1960s on guitar, later transitioning through surf, rock, and experimental genres during his studies and service in the Air Force. In 1972, he founded a recording studio in Tucson, producing jingles for national brands, yet remained drawn to experimental sound. A turning point came in 1975 when he moved to Los Angeles to join Emily Conrad and Gary David's Continuum studio, performing improvised electronic music using Minimoog and tape loops for meditation workshops. There, he developed his early solo music, including Desert Moonwalk, Sustaining Cylinders, Ancient Leaves, and Morning Jewel, with collaborators like Kevin Braheny and Craig Hundley. Drawing on Surge modular synthesizers, the Beam, a 12-foot string instrument, environmental field recordings, and sampling, Stearns created his signature textural style of immersive cosmic soundscapes. His landmark album Planetary Unfolding from 1981 is widely regarded as an ambient classic. From the mid-1980s on, he began scoring feature and IMAX films, notably Ron Fricke's Kronos, Baraka, and Samsara, and contributed work on Titanic, Avatar, and many documentaries and theme park attractions. His prolific discography further unfolded with albums like Encounter, Desert Solitaire with Steve Roach and Kevin Braheny, and numerous later collaborations and solo albums on Hearts of Space and his own Earth Turtle label. In recent years, Stearns remains active, for example, releasing Convergence with Eric Wollo and Beyond Earth and Sky with Steve Roach, scoring the immersive dome project Beyond Chaos, and touring from his Santa Fe base. His work is celebrated for blending electronic synthesis, acoustic textures, and field recordings into immersive, meditative sound worlds that evoke cosmic landscapes and human experience.
Robert Rich is an American ambient musician and composer, born on August 23 in 1963 in California. He is known for his deeply immersive and textural soundscapes, blending elements of ambient, electronic, tribal, and world music. Rich began experimenting with music in his teens, building homemade synthesizers and performing extended sleep concerts at Stanford University in the early 1980s. 8-hour overnight performances designed to influence the dreams of sleeping listeners. Rich released his first official album, Sunyata, in 1982, followed by a steady stream of influential works including Trance's Drones in 1983, Numina in 1987, and Rainforest in 1989. His music often explores themes of nature, consciousness, and the fusion of organic and synthetic sounds. In the 1990s and 2000s, Robert Rich collaborated with numerous artists such as Steve Roach, Strata, Elio Dia, Fishers, and Lusmord, Stalker. He continued to release acclaimed solo works like Somnium, 2001, a 7-hour ambient piece considered one of the longest continuous musical compositions ever released. Rich is also a skilled instrument builder and sound designer, incorporating microtonal tuning systems and custom-made flutes and synthesizers into his music. His sound is often described as immersive and meditative, yet complex and richly layered. Over the decades, Rich has remained a central figure in the ambient music community, with his discography spanning over 40 years and influencing generations of sound artists.
It's good to see you, Michael.
Yeah, it's good to see you too.
We're on wireless because the copper cable didn't quite work on Joy's computer. So,
Okay.
So we'll it might be a little sketchy, but we've got audio here on our side if we need.
Okay, no problem. Yes, it's wonderful to have the opportunity to talk to you, actually. And how are you doing?
We're having fun.
We're having fun. Yeah.
Wonderful.
You know,
Working on a new album.
Yeah. This was Michael's suggestion. We've known each other for 40 years.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah,
We've
a
had
long time.
this long friendship, but never worked together except playing live on the same stage last year. And pleasure to see each other again. And Michael called me up about 4 or 5 months ago and said, we should do an album. And
Best of ideas. Yeah.
And
Well,
so we were planning on doing it in March. Was that right?
March, April, something. Yeah, I forget.
And something came up, and so we had to postpone it a little bit. And Joy and I, my wife and I, have been here for a little over, about a week now.
A week, yeah.
Yeah, and we've been really enjoying. I mean, Robert has this amazing studio, recording, mixing, and mastering studio, and we've been taking a little time out in the afternoons to go walk by the rocks and the Carmel and the beautiful nature scene here with the ocean coming in, and it's been wonderful. It's like every day we get a little bit of rejuvenation. We come back here into the studio and it just flows. It's incredible working with Robert.
Likewise. Yeah, no, about 4 years ago, Dixie, my wife, and I escaped Silicon Valley and moved to a beautiful place on the coast. And
I remember that. Yeah,
it's been.
I saw the pictures of the studio, the new studio growing when you
Right. Well, we
built
got
it.
Atmos ceiling speakers in this January, and so now it's a 7.1.4, and I'm still years behind Michael because he's worked in multi-channel immersive audio for ever since the 80s, right? With IMAX.
IMAX, yeah.
And I've considered Michael for years to be one of the longest running experts in immersive composition, writing music specifically for multi-channel presentation. I've got a little bit of catching up to do.
Well, I don't know. I've always, one thing that Robert and I have in common is that we've both done multiple productions for planetarium domes. And the planetarium domes do have some sort of surround or immersive system that you get to create music for, produce soundtracks for, although some of them are kind of sketchy and marginal, but the ones that work are fantastic.
Okay.
Robert has this immersive 7.1.4 system. I have the same thing in my studio in Santa Fe. So we're really looking forward to, and we've actually been monitoring everything that we've been recording here in Robert's studio in an immersive environment. So we're really looking forward to releasing this both as a stereo release and an immersive release.
Yeah, there's a lovely website based out of Denmark, a composer named Jan Prince, who has surroundmusic.one.
Yeah.
And I'm releasing my 5.1 albums through him for the last 5 or 8 years. Introduced to him through Marcus Reuter. And I've been talking with Jan about figuring out how to increase the channel count, if not proper Dolby Atmos releases, at least a 7.1 discrete channel format, which I think we're still a little bit unsure about the downstream methods of distributing Atmos. So there's still a lot to learn. It's all still pretty new. But
And
Yeah.
everybody's learning it. So we're riding the wave, we're surfing this wave.
Yeah.
Must be fascinating. I never had a Dolby surround system or anything. I mean I know it from cinemas, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's important, I think, when working on the composition side to think most importantly about the music itself. And
Yeah.
sometimes the brain, if it stays in stereo, it's just easier and you don't get distracted with all of the possibilities. There's
Yeah.
too many extra possibilities. One thing that happens that's interesting though is, for example, we both do field recordings with surround microphones with
Ah.
ambisonic. In my case, you can get very affordable little 4 capsule microphones from Zoom and other companies,
Hmm.
and so these things expand out into 5.1 with the click of a button. It's very easy, and so we can have these little just background sounds to keep us going that are in surround. And what's really funny is that as soon as you roll down to stereo, you start missing that feeling of being inside of the music. You get
Hmm.
spoiled very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Ah, cool.
yeah, the main thing though has been us exploring each other's vocabulary and finding ways to work with very quickly, improvisationally. And I think in the last week we've managed to come up with about half an album.
Yeah.
At least the rough material for it.
I see. Yeah. So you started without any concept or ideas, or just
Well, we've been
started at some point and you went with the
talking about
flow?
ideas, but the funny thing about ideas is that you
Yeah.
have to let them go if they don't work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I see.
I had some clouds of ideas, like some vague places that the idea of I'm always fascinated by the idea of things that are bigger than us or deep
Yeah.
time. Just the idea
Yeah.
of deep time, I guess.
Yeah.
And the elements of how the planet will be here long after we're gone, and it was here long before we were. And those ideas don't always translate into music, though. And what I think was funny is that I was imagining a fairly grandiose beginning because I love Michael's hugeness when he gets this kind of scope of his film score compositions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're finding ourselves moving more into almost a chamber music language of vignettes and much more
Mhm.
intimate, which maybe we just have to follow those feelings.
Yeah. And do you at this point work with synths in the first place, or do you have all kinds of other sources? I mean, like
Well, it's all of the above.
guitar that.
All of the above.
So Michael brought his Parker Fly electric guitar, and we've recorded
Uh-huh.
that through a bunch of effects and pedals that he brought. And I've been playing lap steel guitar and flutes as I often do.
Yeah.
I
Playing
think
some beautiful flute parts, just amazing.
Ah,
I
yeah.
think we both share a tendency to mix acoustic and electronic without any problem with the boundaries between them. oftentimes the electronics blend better with acoustic instruments when they're tamed a little bit, when the high end is rolled off, when it's a little bit darker. And the acoustic instruments work better with the electronics when there's a lot of processing on them and, more of a spatial kind of relationship. So we've both been blending those things for a long time. It's pretty natural.
And we've also had, as Robert was explaining, some of the nature background sounds recorded in ambisonic and just in surround. And so we've had those playing at the same time that we're composing some of the music, which has been, and playing in surround. So immersively, you feel like you're in a natural environment. And Robert's studio is amazing because there are ravens, there are flickers, there are woodpeckers, there are all these different animals. And, it was the day before yesterday,
one of our crow friends was tapping on the window.
Yeah, it landed on the skylight right above us and started tapping on the window.
Well, I've been bribing my bird friends for years. It's a well-known fact. They come around reminding me that I'm ignoring their needs.
Maybe they were following you from San Francisco.
Yeah, we left that family behind. I was really fond of them, but we have 2 new families here that they're on either side of the house. They don't really care for each other because they're competing over resources. But
resources are peanuts.
Back when I released the album "What We Left Behind," I made a little comment in the liner notes. All the crows were, services were approved and paid for in peanuts.
Lovely.
The thing about the nature recordings that we've discovered, and this is a creative trick that I think we've both learned, many people learn this, when you're frozen, when you have the blank slate syndrome, the empty canvas, the page of the book. I've found for years that it's often a good way to start. I use a painting metaphor of spilling coffee on the canvas. To stain, you have to make noise, whatever it is, and not be stuck with that noise, not be attached to it. And so sometimes I'll just throw in some recording, some field recording, which might inspire us to create something in the same timing or the same relationships, but then you get rid of it because it doesn't have to be there, but it's just a way to keep moving. Not being too precious about any of the ideas.
Yeah.
Now, you should know that because you're a very prolific composer. You release 4 or 5 albums a year, don't you?
All in all, I guess so.
See, I think either of us are a little envious of that rate of creativity.
Yeah. But I'm not sure if all of them are the best ones every time.
I've heard quite a few of your albums, and they're very, very good. So,
thank you.
I had the honor of contributing to a remix album, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
that one.
And then your collaboration, was it Radiant Sea?
Yeah.
Fantastic album.
It's a duo project, actually. We're still doing albums together and concerts. Yeah. Yes, I have I was connected with 2 labels, and they liked me to have 1 album per year each. With Syngate and Cyclical Dreams, so I usually did 1 for each of them. And then I have 3 collaborative projects, or 4 collaborative projects with different people. And those people want, of course, to release an album too, every now and then. And if it's all, and sometimes I still have ideas that don't fit into the other, not onto the labels. The labels are mainly Berlin School stuff. And so I have ideas that don't fit in those places. So I do another release, and if I take it all together, it's sometimes 4 or 5 all in all with all projects, yes. But I want to reduce it.
So did you get a chance to see Michael's installation? Is it in Berlin?
Oh, no, it's in Heilbronn.
In Heilbronn?
Heilbronn. It's at the Experimenta Dome.
Yeah.
Very large dome with 25.2 immersive sound, and it's dual LFE subwoofers, one in front of the audience and one behind, so you can make deep, shaky things go from the front of the dome to the back of the dome. And I was working with Julius Horsthuis from Amsterdam. He had done an installation in New York City and used music, and that was 2021. And then he asked me if I would score his project in Heilbronn, which was for the Experimenta Dome, called Beyond Chaos. I ended up going back and forth to Germany, to Heilbronn, maybe half a dozen times to test how the music I was writing in my studio would work in the dome, and to also see how the music would work with Julius's visuals, which were all fractals, three-dimensional fractalscapes.
Okay.
So I've actually been back and forth over the last 3 years a lot to Germany. Also recording. Every time I would go over, they would put me in a hotel, and I have a dear friend who's a film composer from Berlin, Christian Halten, and get on the train and come down to my hotel, and he'd bring a couple of synthesizers and his computer, and I would bring over a synthesizer with me, and we actually recorded an album together in hotel rooms all around.
Wonderful. I bought that album.
You did? Oh, good.
I did, yeah, just a while ago, and I think I listened. You also put the recordings from the installation, I think, on Bandcamp too, just a few days ago, didn't you?
Yes.
I listened to it. Just I think earlier this week.
Good.
Wonderful. It's totally immersive, already in stereo.
In stereo, yeah.
Yeah. And how long will this installation be running?
I honestly don't know, because I know it was replacing another installation which had reached its end, but I have not been in communication with the people at Experimenta, so I'm not really sure how much longer it will be. It opened in October, first week of October last year.
Okay, so it's been on a while already. I wish I had known. It would be easier for me to go to Heilbronn from where I live than to Berlin, actually.
Where do you live?
Mainz.
In Mainz, yeah.
You know, close to Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's 5 or 6 hours by car to Berlin. And I think, I don't know, Heilbronn, maybe 2 or 3 hours?
2 hours, yeah.
2 hours.
You go south, and you go through Mannheim.
Yeah.
And then you change to a little local S-Bahn and travel to Heilbronn. Yeah.
Yeah, it's closer to. I was born in Heidelberg.
Yeah, it's very close to Heidelberg.
Yeah, right. Well, I will give it a try if I can still see it.
Yeah.
I would love to.
Yeah, just give them a call, see if it's, or go onto the internet and see, because they'll list the show times and things there.
Yeah. Cool. Wonderful. Yeah. So you did that concert together, I think, wasn't it with Steve Roach?
Yes. Yeah.
3 of you?
Steve was sort of the core organizer for that. He produced the concert and kind of brought us in as old friends. I mean, we all met, Steve and Michael have known each other since 1980 or so.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, even before that, maybe 1978. Wow. Long time. We both lived in Los Angeles together. And there's a big street that goes from kind of central Los Angeles all the way to the beach called Venice Boulevard. And I lived on one side of Venice Boulevard, about a block and a half. And Steve lived, and that was called the Palms area. and Steve lived in Culver City, about a block and a half on the other side of Venice Boulevard. So I could go over to his studio. He could come over to my studio. But that was a long time ago when we were both just starting. Yeah.
And I was still in high school, being the youngest of them. But yeah, then I met, we all kind of met each other. Well, I met both of them through Stephen Hill from Hearts of Space.
I see it.
And I had an installation to do for a theater production. And it was one of my first things after I left university. I did an environmental installation for a Somerset Maugham play in Hollywood. And Stephen Hill said, "Oh, when you're down there, you should meet this guy, Steve Roach, who I think you guys would get along great." So Steve and I had lunch together around 1985. We found out that we had a lot of things in common, including we had iguanas as pets and we liked Hawkwind.
Okay, wonderful.
Which you wouldn't think so much for, space music people, but fondness for punk and metal and things that were a little bit more energetic. And we ended up becoming pretty good friends, and then met Michael also through Stephen Hill when I was working for Stephen in sound at a seminar nearby here on the coast in 1986 or 7, I think. We're not quite sure. And I was mixing for this event where Michael was performing. I actually performed a sleep concert there as well. And it's just been this little circle of friendship. I think one thing that I'm very grateful for is that in this world of electronic, space, ambient, whatever you call this music, everyone kind of knows each other and we all get along. I mean, it's pretty much not very competitive because there's not much to compete over.
Yeah.
It's really just like a big family.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this friendship has gone on a long time, but we had never performed together until Steve pulled us over to Tucson last May.
Yeah.
First time we've been on stage at the same time.
Cool. Yes, it's strange how things come together sometimes.
It takes a little Herculean effort by one person to make things happen. And we're grateful to Steve. He has that
absolutely.
A couple of years ago, I discovered the recordings of Ambicon 2013 on YouTube. And I really love all those recordings ever since. And I think at least one time per year, I'm watching the, what is it called? Channel, the discussion.
That was quirky.
Panel discussion, yeah. And that's really, I don't know. I always had the impression that all people on stage really were like family, like you say.
I remember when Jeff Pierce was just getting started. He's about 10 years younger than me. And this was back in the 1990s, I think. And he used to call me up and he's very talkative and he would keep going. And I would want to hang up, but I would be laughing so hard. We'd keep talking. Very funny guy. And I think we've all had our chance to try to help each other out in different ways. And like Jeff Granke, for example, I've known since 1987. He was one of the first people outside of the Bay Area to help me find a concert to perform. And I played at a tiny little, it was like a bar in Seattle called Squid Row that had live avant-garde music. And he arranged that concert and opened for me. And we've been friends ever since. There's this long circle of, and Forrest Fang and Kevin Brahaney, Kevin was more the circle of Steve and Michael.
Yeah.
Everybody just, and like a family, it's sometimes a bit dysfunctional, but mostly we're pretty good.
Yeah. So are there still a lot of events with electronic music in the US, or is it just occasionally?
Almost never.
Almost never.
There's never really been a scene. I think when we were all starting in the early 80s, we had to make things happen. And it was very small. there was what was the restaurant or theater or something that Steve was playing? There was there was some location that was kind of a scene with Laura Norell and Steve and things down in LA.
Yeah, there was. I don't remember the name of it.
It was like
I saw Steve there a couple of times.
Yeah, Mothers, or it was some it's like a coffee shop or something that they made things happen in all the time. And I would do tiny little concerts around Palo Alto, Stanford University, and I'd go over to Berkeley and play at this seminar place called Shared Visions. Did my first sleep concerts over there, and it only sat about 15 or 20 people on the floor. Yeah. And we just made things happen. Yeah. There was not a scene. We were looking at the German scene from the 70s with envy, because you guys would have your big rock stars like Klaus Schulze and Tangerine Dream, and playing huge theaters, with thousands of people, and there was nothing like that here.
Yeah. Okay. I remember being invited to perform at eLive a long time ago. I guess it was maybe mid 90s, and going to the theater, and there was 700 people there, and I thought, wow, this is like getting 700 people together in the United States for our kind of music would be impossible.
Yeah.
There was always a parallel, the world of techno and electronica would have the chill rooms, and there was some crosstalk between the genres. So some of my music played by DJs in chill rooms in the late 80s, early 90s. Jonas Sharp and Mixmaster Morris and people like that became friends. And they were looking for something a little more edgy. My music never really had beats, but sometimes it would work for them in the chill room when people would have to go relax. Yeah. And so I've had a little bit of crossover into the rave world, but usually playing the dub stage late at night when people needed to relax. Yeah. And I learned after a while that my music was very strange to them because I didn't have a big kick drum. It was when in Australia they would say, "Where's the doof?" There's no doof. It was always just this
language. I remember a little concert I played in 2013. I think it was more like a garden party. Actually, it was even called Garden Party. It was like a mini festival with about, I think, 100 guests, and all the musicians there played for free, basically. And we played that concert, and I had a talk with different people after that. And one guy came over and how did he say it? Told me about his music. He was doing like Berlin School stuff and ambient stuff too. And then he said, but mainly I'm doing techno and dance music. That's the music where people are earning money.
Yep, that's
right.
Yeah. I never forget that definition.
I can tolerate that sort of steady downbeat pulse. It bugs me. So I always had an allergy to the kick drum, that dum, 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 just make me.
And I think part of it, kind of, if it's not too esoteric, is that it's all, a lot of what Robert and I do is it's not done to a digital clock. It's to our heartbeats, so to speak. And so there's a certain ease to it, or a resonance literally with the physical being. And what I find listening to EDM or any of the subgenres is it kind of participates you as opposed to something that you participate with. So you get, I've been to Berlin to like 3 o'clock in the morning, some of the scenes in Berlin, and it's like everybody is just pumping and but it's almost like the beat is driving them as opposed to them participating in, literally on a biological level with the how would you call it, the textural or the music that you and I have been immersing ourselves in.
Yeah, it operates from a different mindset. I mean, for me, I've always thought about the level of activity within a stimulus of art as an inverse of the level of activity in the experiencer's brain. So the more immersive or the more active, like if you're in a video game where you're killing zombies and the music is chugging metal chords and everything's violent, the brain actually slows down inside. You enter into a kind of a slower trance because all of the stimulus engages at you in a way that takes over most of your internal processes. Whereas when you rarefy the stimulus and when you make it very sparse, the listener's mind actually activates and they start creating more inside of their imagination. They engage with it in a participatory way as creators in their own right. I mean, the evidence of this goes back to neurology experiments in the 1950s. There was a French neurologist, Jouvet, who did experiments with laboratory animals and showed that when you, horrible experiments, but when you sever their sensory inputs, their brains actually go into a high activation state. And so sometimes this music, the word ambient is a little bit misleading because we're not thinking of it in terms of background. We don't think of it in terms of something for people to do other things while it's playing, but rather as a kind of psychedelic. We think of it in terms of a psychoactive art form, which can be an environment for trance or for engaging in imaginative activity, for creativity. So the music isn't subservient, but rather a collaborator with the listener. But more like in the sense when the minimalist artists and sculptors in the 60s started working to create art that didn't point to itself as an object, but pointed to the experience of it. You know, like James Turrell's light sculptures, where you enter into this environment and there's nothing there except stimulus on your retina of light, and it does amazing things to your imagination.
Yes, his stuff is incredible. Yeah.
So I think of this tradition of psychoactive music as being closer to minimalist art. But when I say minimalism, I don't mean like the repetitive music of Steve Reich or Terry Riley, but rather minimalism in the sense of psychoactive art that creates a place for people to engage their own creativity. So it's a very different world from that doof, 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 where
totally different, yes.
You're imposed into a kind of dance mindset, you know.
I mean, I do like some dance music and tried to do it when I was younger. But I guess I personally can use it at some times when I'm in the mood and I want that for some time. But it's rarely the music that opens up something within me. And that's very much more the experience I have with each of your music, which at the time when I first heard it was in both cases really a revelation to me, and I felt very much at home at the same time, like finding something I wanted to find for a long time.
Well, I think when we first heard the early German scene, some of it had that intense psychoactive quality. I mean, for me, Popol Vuh and Klooster perhaps were, you know, because there was a certain quiet, private feeling to that music. Since then, I've been very, very honored to get to know Achim Wardelius a little bit. And Achim is just the most gentle person, a very sweet person. And his music is such an honest reflection of who he is.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, there's that intimate, private moment, the smallness of things. And I think that had a similar opening, you know, for me in the mid 70s when I was a kid. to discover this very kind of a sacred music that was still modern and still, spoke to our generation, as opposed to the kind of the stuff that went more into the rock world, which I always enjoyed too. I was always a huge fan of Can and even Tangerine Dream and others. But I think the special stuff was for me Popol Vuh and Kluster, which had that intimacy,
Yes, and I think both had, at least Popol Vuh, they also had a spiritual intention.
Yes.
In making music, and I think also they felt attracted to Indian music, which has a quality, classical Indian music. I can similar feel that your music also evokes in me.
I'm also very, very influenced by classical Indian music. I mean, in the Bay Area, we had the Ali Akbar School of Music with Ali Akbar Khan, the great maestro. He's the half brother of Ravi Shankar, and they were adopted. I mean, basically, Ali Akbar Khan was actually Ravi Shankar was adopted into Khan Sahib's family, and so Ali Akbar would bring many of the great North Indian classical musicians to teach up in San Rafael, and so there was a kind of spreading out of the language into the local population. And so there was, I think for me, in fact, Indian music and Indonesian music and some Arabic music was almost a more natural language than Western triadic harmony. I felt closer to Indian raga than I did to Mozart, for example, which for me, the triadic harmonic structures of Mozart felt like a cage that I wanted to break out of. And I would listen to a raga and it was absolutely freeing for my mind. It would go where I wanted to go. And I think for that reason, it got into my blood in a way that comes out in the music in a natural way. Without trying to sound like it, without trying to be, without copying the language exactly. Just like I think with Indonesian gamelan on the West Coast of the United States, we had composers like Lou Harrison and Colin McPhee, who brought Balinese music with his research and his book in the 1950s. And those orchestras that Lou Harrison created in universities and little colleges around the area, you'd hear these performances of American gamelan music, American composers like Dan Schmidt performing for his own instruments, and that I think got under our skin also. It's not so much of a sense of a European person trying to adapt other languages. It feels for me more like growing up within those languages in a diaspora, an immigrant culture, really, a culture which is sharing all of these different languages. It felt natural to me.
For me, it was like Lou Harrison was a big influence, although you don't necessarily hear that reflected in my music. And the Eastern Javanese Royal Court music it's probably still my favorite music to listen to that. It's so languid. The gong is so different than, for instance, the Balinese gong. The intention was so different, and it involves so many other elements of orchestration with voices and flutes and the gong, everything all going on simultaneously, with men doing almost a slow chant against the gong playing at a different speed, and then the flutes playing at a different speed, and then women's voices doing these amazing articulations. I mean, when my wife Joy had been living in Bali and in Nepal, and I had known her for about 17 or 18 years, but I was married to somebody and she was married to somebody else. And then she ended up living over there. And when she came back, she had this culture shock. She came back to the American culture, and it was United States culture. And she was just in shock. And I had experienced that after my travels to Southeast Asia.
I see.
She called me up and she said, we haven't seen each other in years. Is there something you would recommend, that get me through this period? And I said, yeah, come on over. And she came over and I put on the Javanese royal court music, and she just like, you could just see all her muscles just relax. And she just became so open instead of, oh man, when you come back from over there, it's really a challenge to be back here in the United States.
I see.
I just found that particular music has really given me a deep context that's not necessarily something that you hear in my music, but it's one of my favorite things for that kind of, almost like my whole nervous system just relaxes and feels like, oh, this is home.
Yeah. Wonderful.